News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
Missoula County Sheriff testifies he hated my guts. Good morning, everyone. It's Montana Morning. Congratulations. You made it. It's Friday, June 24th, 2016, and it is a beautiful morning out there. Gorgeous sunrise, backlighting the clouds, just floating by. Right now we have a mostly cloudy sky, 57 degrees in Missoula. Our newscast this morning sponsored by AAA. A AAA card doesn't just give you roadside assistance, gives you discounts on local and national brands, and use it a few times, and it pays for itself. Join now, add a second person for free. Learn more at AAA.com/Montana. Missoula County Sheriff T.J. McDermott took the stand at the Josh Clark political discrimination hearing yesterday and related his dealings with Clark at the sheriff's office. Both Clark and McDermott were running for sheriff as Democrats in 2014, but the Democratic Central Committee chose to support McDermott over Clark, and the Clark was very angry that he lost the primary.
Mr. Clark was angry. He had lost the primary election. At one point when I was talking to him, he pounded his fist on the table and he said, "I guess I am going to effing patrol." And I said, "Josh, I hadn't talked to him. He hadn't congratulated me on my victory." He just seemed very angry. And I told him, I said, "Josh, if there's something that you want to do, I'm willing to talk about it."
McDermott said there was one incident that occurred just after he announced his run for sheriff that was deeply hurtful.
Early on, when it was announced that I was running for sheriff in the media, there was an article in the Missoulian, and as part of that article, an anonymous commenter posted that I had been fired from the Anaconda Police Department for raping a female inmate with a nightstick.
McDermott said he contacted the Missoulian and eventually uncovered the fact that the comment was made by a member of Clark's campaign team.
He hated my guts. As he testified, he did not think that I should be sheriff, that I do not have the level of integrity or honesty that's required to be sheriff, and he just was not supportive of me being in the role of sheriff, being the leader of the department. He simply hated my guts.
Testimony wrapped up late yesterday. The hearing's examiner will now determine if indeed political discrimination or retaliation did take place, and if so, how it should be compensated. A man has pleaded not guilty to federal charges of kidnapping and raping a 4-year-old girl who was taken from a park on a Montana Indian reservation earlier this year. John William Liba II entered his plea yesterday during a hearing before U.S. Magistrate Judge John Johnston. A grand jury indicted Liba Tuesday on charges of kidnapping someone under the age of 18, aggravated sexual abuse, and assault resulting in bodily injury on someone under the age of 18. The charges carry a combined maximum penalty of life in prison and $750,000 in fines if he is convicted. The indictment says Liba abducted the girl in Wolf Point on the Fort Peck Reservation and held her for ransom in February. It says he engaged in a sexual act with the girl and he assaulted her. Yesterday, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in favor of Montana and other states who contested President Obama's executive order to grant immediate amnesty to millions of illegal immigrants. Montana Attorney General's office spokesman John Barnes explains.
When President Obama issued some executive actions, the Montana and a number of other states believed then that these actions exceeded his authority. It's the president's responsibility to faithfully execute those laws, and he can't just sort of pick and choose, how to enforce them or to bypass them or ignore them, and that's what the states believed he was doing when it came to amnesty and illegal immigration.
Montana Senator Steve Daines, along with 42 other senators, filed an amicus brief in April in support of the effort to halt the executive order.
At this point, it's the end of the line on this, and the states won. This was a great victory for the rule of law. It's one more example where we've been successful on this. The program was prevented from taking effect very early on. It really didn't have a chance to be implemented much at all, if at all. So no, I don't anticipate this impacting anybody here now.
Yesterday's ruling marks the fourth time federal courts have sided with Montana's position against the president's executive actions on immigration. It will likely be the last appeal. A 23-year-old Bozeman woman is being treated for multiple injuries after falling 600 feet while skiing in southwestern Montana. Gallatin County Search and Rescue officials retrieved the injured backcountry skier Wednesday from the Bridger Mountains. The woman suffered neck, ankle, and arm fractures at the fall. Her name has not yet been released. Gallatin County Sheriff Brian Gutkin said the rescue took 3 hours and required specially trained rescuers. The woman has now been taken to a Bozeman hospital. Montana Senator Steve Daines' Tribal Forestry Participation and Protection Act passed through the U.S. Senate Committee on Indian Affairs this week. Senator Daines explained how the bill aims to improve the health of Montana forests on both federal and on tribal lands.
It's incredible how tribes will spread their resources thin, and they are still better managers of their forests. And that's why I recently introduced the Tribal Forestry Participation and Protection Act. Our forests are failing, and we must visit new and innovative ways to improve forest health.
Several tribes have expressed their support for Daines' legislation.
The Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes, the Crow tribe, the Blackfeet tribe, and the Intertribal Timber Council have all sent me statements in support of the legislation. I think it shows how important tribal sovereignty is, that tribes know best how to manage their own land. We must follow the flexibility and allow the flexibility for these tribes to continue to do so.
The act plans to expedite restoration projects in order to keep forests healthy and to get more Montana logs to working mills. The Obama administration says a sharp increase in royalties paid by companies mining coal from federal lands across the West would trigger only modest reductions in U.S. coal production. That report from the White House Council of Economic Advisors comes after new sales of federal coal leases were halted back in January. Officials are determining if long-standing royalty rates shortchange taxpayers. The council says more than doubling the royalty rate would reduce mining from federal lands only 7%. It would cut emissions from burning that fuel and bring as much as $730 million annually in new revenue. The coal industry and many elected officials across the West oppose the sales moratorium. They say higher royalties will force more job cuts. 34-year-old Patrick Durant and 35-year-old Megan Collins were both arrested yesterday and charged with a felony theft and burglary. According to court documents, both Durant and Collins broke into storage units and stole several items, including valuable computers and a Honda generator. At their Justice Court appearance yesterday, Deputy Missoula County Attorney Brittany Santorno asked Judge Marie Anderson for $15,000 bail for both individuals. First, for Durant.
This defendant's criminal history largely looks to be of DUI, alcohol, and drug-based offenses. However, it is 24 pages long. That's just a cursory look over it. I would renew my same recommendation for this defendant as I had for his co-defendant, $15,000 bail amount and monitoring for drugs as well.
And then for Collins.
In a quick look through this defendant's criminal history, she has at least 2 failures to appear, one of which was from 2015, one from 2016. Additionally, I see at least 3 other felonies that have no dispositions listed. Her criminal record is approximately 18 pages long.
Judge Anderson set bail for each defendant at $10,000 and remanded them back to the Missoula County Jail. News Talk Times 6:13.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Showers and thunderstorms throughout the day. In the Missoula area, will be a cool one in the afternoon. High of around 64 during the middle of the day. Expect some gusty winds of around 30 to maybe even 40 miles an hour. I'm meteorologist Matt Gray for the NBC Montana Severe Weather Alert Team.